Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for joining us here at Totally Booked Readers. My name is Alyssa.
I'm Kiara.
And I'm Hope. We're three best friends with a passion for reading who enjoy getting together to talk about all kinds of books.
We're just here for the vibes, the good, the bad, and the spicy.
So stick around for the rest of this episode and join us to hear about the trials and tribulations we had to undergo while getting our beloved copies of Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, as well as part 1 of our Onyx Storm breakdown.
Before we start, I want to give a major spoiler warning for the entire Empyrean series thus far. This includes Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and obviously Onyx Storm. If you have not read all 3 of these books, you are entering a danger zone. Heed the warning or risk the consequences. So we went through many trials and tribulations to try and get our copies of Onyx Storm, as I'm sure most of you also went through. It was a bit crazy. We were some of the people that decided to wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning to try and get Target orders of the Target edition, the special edition. It failed. Badly.
It was a very stressful 2 a.m. experience. We thought it was going to be quick and easy. It happened to be the exact opposite of that.
We broke the website.
Yes.
For sure.
You can blame us. We were spamming, trying to get it to add to the cart. And then when we did get it to add to the cart, we were trying so hard to check out. And it just would not. It wouldn't.
It wouldn't let us check out. I got my card in there a couple of times, and I would go, and it would say, declined. And I was like, I know my card's fine. So I think this is a problem with the site. And that happened like 5 more times.
I was only able to get my card in once, but it wouldn't process the payment.
Needless to say, I was heartbroken. And so at 2 a.m., well, 2:30, after we'd tried for 30 minutes to get it, and it finally, the website crashed, I decided that I would go in the morning and stand in line to try and get a copy of the Target edition.
Yes, but that at the 2:35-ish mark, I did get confirmation that I got the Target edition.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't believe it.
No.
We were texting. I think all of our spirits were broken. There was a tiny sliver of hope in my soul, but at the same time, I was like, I just don't believe it.
There's no way. Even with the confirmation code, you're like, there's no way.
Exactly.
I didn't think she got it.
And then, so both Hope and Alyssa were going to try to go early.
Yeah, so one Target location near me actually opened at 7 a.m. So I left my house I left later than I should have in regards, now that I know what happened. I left my house at like 6:30. It was like, it's a 15-minute drive. I'll get there before they open. I'll be able to walk in and get it. Nope, wrong, false. 6:55 in the morning when I pull up to this Target, and there's a line half a mile to the parking lot outside of the store doors.
That's tough.
Walk in, and they're gone. They're sold out of the special edition and the exclusive edition. It's only the regular edition left, and I turned around and left, and it was only 7:03. The Target had been open for 3 minutes, and they were sold out.
Because we refused to get a copy without sprayed edges.
Yeah.
What would be the point?
We needed it for our bookshelves. So I went to a Target that opened at 8 and unfortunately had about the same experience. There was a line. It was freezing cold. I was not dressed appropriately for the weather. I'm surprised I didn't lose a finger. And then by the time I got into the store, I had barely set foot into the doors, and the poor Target manager had to walk all the way up and down this line of feral book talk girls and tell them that the special edition was sold out and that the deluxe edition was sold out already. And they had to have only had like 10 copies or something, because I was not that far back in line. I was maybe 20 people.
Yeah, I kept watching videos that morning on TikTok, and people were saying how they called their stores and they only had 20 in stock, or 30 in stock, something like that. That's crazy.
Ridiculous.
So,
and we had all placed Amazon orders for the exclusive edition months ago, and mine was still like showing no ship date, like no expected delivery date. I think, Alyssa, yours was showing a delivery date, right?
It had updated that morning to say that it was going to be delivered like 2 days later, which I was distraught about because I took off work to read it.
Yeah.
And I was distraught about I thought maybe that I wasn't even going to get one. At
Yeah.
that point, every bad thought in my head, that drive home was not a fun one. It was silent. I was just thinking, I'm not going to get my hands on this damn book.
I
I
felt the
could
same way.
imagine. I was on edge all day because I was like, Alyssa's pissed.
Yeah, I was so
Alyssa's
mad.
mad.
It's not a
Mostly
good day.
sad, but it was coming out as, I think, mad and
Yes.
a little
And
down.
I wanted both editions, but I was so upset about not getting the Target edition. I don't know why. I just really wanted it. So,
But then Hope started looking at Walmart because, you were just looking for the deluxe edition, right?
Yeah, because I had given up hope of the Target exclusive.
Mhm.
They were sold out everywhere. So I was looking at Walmart, and I was able to get a confirmation code from Walmart for the exclusive edition, and with a pickup time around my lunchtime from work. So I was going to go and pick it up. And 20 minutes before I went to lunch, I got a text saying, canceled. Your order was canceled. So I had it, and then I didn't. So I was really having zero faith with Kiara's confirmation code after my Walmart experience.
Things
So
were bleak.
they were very bleak. I
And
was
then
unhappy.
Yeah, and then Hope and I at separate times were like, oh, like there's one more place we might be able to get the deluxe editions. And we ended up being able to call them, and they put aside 2 copies for us.
They did.
So we were like, oh, light at the end of the tunnel, because they sounded so hopeful. Like there was no hesitancy. They were like, oh yeah, we'll go ahead and put your names on these and put them to the side.
They were like, we have a whole display. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to be there as soon as I get off at work. So please have my name on them.
Exactly.
Sure enough,
yeah.
I left work immediately, straight to Half Price Books is where we found them.
Yeah.
Walked straight in, and I was like, hi, my name is Hope. Y'all put a book aside for me. And they were like, oh, okay, yeah, we actually have 2 set aside. I was like, is the other one by chance Kiara's? And they said yes. And I was like, she's my friend. Can I just go ahead and get both of those? So we ended up getting the deluxe editions.
Yeah, and then, well, at the lunchtime hour when Hope's Walmart order was canceled, I was like, there's no way that this Target exclusive edition is going to actually go through. It's going to get canceled. But then I think it was at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I got the confirmation that they had it ready for pickup, and I didn't tell y'all because I was scared.
I did not know that you got that confirmation.
I think I had the confirmation like either before we called Half Price Books or like right after.
Okay.
And so I didn't get off of work until like 6 p.m. And so I went straight there.
I met you because I picked up your Half Price Deluxe edition.
Yes.
I met you at Target.
And I got in the little line, and this guy came out in 2 seconds, didn't know what kind of gold he was holding.
He did not. He had zero clue. The people that would have swarmed him if they knew what he was carrying.
And I got it. I confirmed it was the Target exclusive edition. And then we went on one more little stop on our journey.
One more adventure where, I must preface, when we got to our destination, I really did almost lose my finger. How Alyssa said she almost lost her finger in the freezing cold. Well, I closed my finger in my car door. Like my car door latched on my finger. It's still, I really think I'm going to lose my fingernail. I thought I was going to die. I thought they were going to have to take me to the emergency room, but I'm fine. And we made it to our destination, where Kiara...
We went to Alyssa's house, and Hope was pale. She was pale and in pain. And at first, I thought you were joking.
No, I was just trying to rein it in because I didn't want to ruin the surprise.
Yeah, they rang my doorbell. First of all, it's like 7 o'clock at night, so it's already dark outside. I hear the doorbell ring, and I'm like in my pajamas already. And I'm like, who is that? I'm thinking like, oh, maybe it's my Amazon order with the deluxe edition.
She's so wholesome.
Oh my gosh, I get to read it today. And I go to open the door, and Kiara's standing there with her husband, and then Hope pops up, and they're holding the Target exclusive, and I'm like, you got it? Like, I was so jealous. Honestly, I was like, you got it? Like, I was so happy for her, but I was also so angry. because I was like,
You held it together.
You did.
You didn't look
I
angry.
was like, man, I'm so happy for you, but I'm so mad for myself. And then Kiara told me I could have it.
Well, yes, because Alyssa's the reason we got into even reading Fourth Wing to begin with. She's been talking about it for years. We were like, yeah, for sure. Like maybe one day. And then it became the book club book, and we haven't looked back since. And so the only person I felt truly deserved to have it was Alyssa, because I just wanted the pretty dragons on the sprayed edges of the deluxe edition, and I was perfectly happy. But all the artwork and stuff, I just knew that you would appreciate it the most.
Absolutely.
Yes. I don't know about deserved, but I did cry when I got it. I'm very lucky to have y'all as friends, that y'all would do that for me, because I thought that was like the sweetest thing ever. It made me cry.
Well, it was well deserved, and it was even though Hope was in pain the whole time.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I was holding it together just
We-
until she
I would-
like, was like, "Oh my gosh, Kiara, thank you so much." And then I was like, "Okay, can we come inside and can you please look at my finger?"
Yeah, it was a bit hectic because I was crying from excitement. Kiara was happy, and
Hope was
my
crying
husband
with
was
tears of
confused.
pain. Yeah,
And
that
Hope
too.
was crying from pain.
It was the worst.
Yeah, so we had a triage situation, but one finger down and one book up.
I would say by 7:30 that night, we all had a copy of Onyx Storm,
We did.
Yes,
and that's that's all that truly matters.
truly. And now my bookshelf looks exactly how I imagined it.
Beautiful.
So, yay.
And that's it.
All right, moving on. So let's start talking about what we really gathered here today for, which is
The book.
Onyx Storm. So let me set the scene. We ended Iron Flame with finding out that Violet's mom has sadly sacrificed herself for her daughters and her son. And Xaden has become Venin. All right.
Broken.
Yeah, that was tough. But we kind of picked up pretty much exactly where we left off,
Mhm.
which was nice.
That was nice.
Because at the end of Iron Flame, we got to see Xaden's point of view where he's going to visit Jack
Mhm.
in his little cell. And then in the prologue, we pick up with Violet following him because she's not dumb.
I enjoyed that because at the end of Iron Flame, it was like, how can he just leave her? So it felt good to connect from her point of view that he wasn't leaving her, she was following.
So they're going down to go see Jack. And we get a lot of inner dialogue with Violet and Darna at this time. Because Taryn's a little preoccupied with his mate because her rider just became Venin. So he's not really involved, but her and Andarna, we have some cute moments there. I, like many on TikTok that I saw, was confused about a lot of the names and things that were popping up, and it started in the prologue because I immediately was like, who the heck are I don't know how to pronounce these names.
Say it, try.
Kier?
Kier?
That's someone's dragon.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Trod?
That's also a dragon.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I had no idea
Who
who they
like,
were.
what the heck?
So she's like, do you want me to get them? And I was like, who are they?
What are they gonna do?
I was like, what are they gonna do about it? And then I even said, maybe Bodhi and Garrick's dragons, which I was right. I was correct, but I was still confused.
Yeah. Essentially, what we know is that there's a lot unknown about Andarna.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's what we're kind of recognizing in the prologue of like, there's going to be a big need to study or research, what this seventh dragonness entails.
Yeah, for sure. How was she able to burn the venin? Was it the seventh dragonness? Was it just her first fire? Where did she come from? It opens up so many questions about finding more out about her and what she's capable of.
And it also gives us a little bit of hope because Darna says, like, you know, there's no way, it's inevitable leadership is going to want to find the seventh breed now because they know it exists. We need to do it on our terms so that not only can I find my family and find out more about myself, but also follow every possible path to a cure. So we got a lot of hope in this prologue. I was feeling hopeful. I was like, heck yeah, that's right. And Darna's going to be the answer to the cure for Xaden. And then at the very end of the chapter, Violet asks for Glaine, who is Imogen's dragon.
Yeah.
I immediately thought, oh, she needs Imogen in order to erase Jack's memory. That was my immediate thought.
I did not think that.
I did
at
too. It was in
all.
my notes. Oh my gosh, why does she need Imogen? She gonna have her wipe Jack's memory?
Yes.
That
First
is
thought.
wild.
But we'll talk about that later.
I just thought because she was essentially laying out like Imogen, or I need to go to the one other person I can fully trust, or that we can fully trust. And so we got kind of, I called them the dream team: Bodhi, Garrick, Imogen, Xaden, and Violet.
Yes. And then chapter 1, we start 2 weeks later. We get a lot of introduction here to, you know, what's been going on for the past 2 weeks, because Basgiath was just like war grounds, and now we're having to go from war grounds back to war college.
Yep, having to reset everything.
Yes. So
I don't understand how they're expected to just go back to class when there's a literal war going on. Like
this is war hope.
Same old
I know,
around here.
It gave me anxiety. I'm like, but they're capable. Like, what are you talking about? But then I also understand, like, yeah, they're only second years and first years. Like, I get both sides, but it was giving me anxiety. I was like, there's a real war. Like, can we just use them, please?
And even worse, at this point, Xaden's keeping his shields up. And he's not letting Violet in.
Yeah.
Real quick, the very beginning of the chapter, the correspondence at the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah. Violet's motto this whole time has been like, I will not die today. And at the very beginning of this chapter, it's marked out and instead says, I will save him, which already had my heart hurting because in my mind, that just meant to me, she was basically saying, I'm willing to die to get a cure for him, to save him.
No need. Yeah.
The
I will not die today doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to do whatever it takes to save him.
Yeah.
My favorite part about this chapter is the fact that our Iron Squad members are referred to as the Fearsome Foursome.
Yeah.
I loved that. And then, you know, we find out Kat's been sticking around and they've been hanging out together and molding to be one squad still. So as we were filling out our bingo cards, I went ahead and called it early. The Cat redemption arc. I gave myself a bingo there.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sawyer is not in a very good place mentally or physically. He has lost a limb. And so he's feeling down. He basically is hinting at the fact that he's going to retire, possibly, from being a rider.
Yeah.
Before he even starts.
Before he even graduates.
And I was so sad. I did not want that to happen. I, from the very beginning, was saying, like, why can't we get him a metal leg?
Yeah.
Like, even before they got him the wooden prosthetic, I was like, he can control metal.
Yeah.
Why didn't we get him a metal one?
His spirits were down. He just needed some time.
Right. I was like, is that possible? Anyway. And then Jasenia writing notes to Sawyer. I thought that was a cute little detail.
It was very cute.
A lot of lovey-doveyness.
Yes.
In this first half of the book, like just very soft, and we'll get into that as we get going. But I think that was like the first hint, because right now Xaden's avoiding Violet, not really avoiding her, but keeping some distance a little bit. And so that was a little hopeful piece, a hopeful nugget.
And then his, you know, closest friends, the marked ones, are keeping an eye on him, basically guarding him. They refer to it as Xaden duty, which I thought was, I can imagine being on Xaden duty.
Because he's not happy about it.
He's not happy you're there.
No, not even a little bit. And then there's also the piece where, you get Taryn very obviously being upset about Xaden being Venom and not trusting him.
The dark one,
Yeah,
as
calling
he
him the dark one.
Yeah, so the dynamics here between like all the people we know are heavily different. Like everyone having an eye on Xaden, he's not used to that. He's used to being capable, and he still is,
he's used to
but
being in the shadows.
not in front of everyone's eyes, like watching him so closely.
Mhm. Well, he's the person that's used to providing or assigning the protective detail, not the one that's
Needing it.
needing the protective
Yeah.
detail.
Mhm.
So, and then action starts off right away. Chapter 2, we find out that the Venin have infiltrated the scribe quadrant because they're able to hide their eyes with the hoods, and that's how they're getting into Basgiath.
When I tell you, I was shocked. Chapter 2. When
I
I was
know.
pulling out in chapter 2, I was like, whoa.
Well,
Yeah.
I put that down as a bingo, and I gave it to myself as a bingo. However, I will say when I initially put it as a bingo, the intentions were that it was going to be like some big ordeal, not
Yeah.
like chapter 2.
And then never talked about
They
again.
just defeated them and it moved on.
I know it was quick. It was like, okay, they're here. Now they're gone.
Yeah. And then I just want to say, for anyone out there, this is a safe place. For anyone out there who, like me, thought that none of the scribes talked. I thought that they all use sign language. I didn't know that it was just Jacinia. I thought it was literally all scribes. Why does Violet know? Why does Violet know sign language?
Because she was
Because she
friends
grew up with Jacinia.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I saw it on TikTok. I know I'm not the only one. You're safe here. I literally wrote a note. Wait, did a scribe just talk? I'm confused.
That's so funny.
So, yes, I'm dumb.
And we got a very vague glimpse of a silver-haired individual
Oh, yes.
right here.
Uh-huh.
Introduction.
Remember that for later.
I loved Garrick being protective of Violet from
Yeah.
Xaden. I don't know why.
It was kind of sad though, because he has to do it, and like the reason he has to do it in the first place. But I remember thinking like the tables are shifting. Like it's weird to see him kind of stick up for Violet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. And then also, like, can we just talk about how much Riz Xaden had?
When?
At the end of this chapter, when, you know, Xaden drops the whole, like, he can sense them because he is one.
I can feel them
Yeah.
calling me.
Yeah, I can feel them calling me. That's how I know I've changed. I can feel them calling me, just like I can feel the source pulsing beneath my feet because I'm one of them.
Are you scared yet?
Yeah. He says,
Oh.
scared yet? I put Riz.
I put ouch.
I would say that wasn't wholesome for me. I was like, ow, pain.
Yeah, me too.
Really? Dark romance girly over here, Riz. Hell yeah.
But also, second pain is that Sigel's not talking to him.
Oh
and that
my
was confirmed in this chapter
gosh.
too.
Yeah, that was awful. The whole book.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
And then we start getting into the political stuff. And this is where the whole Llewellyn, Lindell.
Yes. We got to make demands. We got to form a task force.
Yes.
I like to say that the first one that's our task force. Later on, we'll get to our quest squad. We'll address that later. But essentially, we got to go in there, and Adorna has demands to make to the council.
Yeah.
And they're going through our girl Violet.
Yes, because Violet can speak to them, obviously.
This is the chapter where I think it's on page 33. I love how Xaden calls her Love. Like the new nickname Love.
I know. The amount of times
I
this
love it so
man
much.
said fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck, love.
Mhm.
Okay. I liked it. It's kind of got, like, we got the tension back from the first book of them not being able to do anything.
Yes.
But then I will say the end of chapter 3 broke my heart a little bit with his thumbprint on the headboard of where he channeled.
Yeah.
That's when I
And he didn't even mean to do it. And
Yeah.
that's when I was like, oh, it's going to be one of those books, is it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, ooh.
That's when I
Mhm.
realized we were in danger.
Yeah.
Danger,
And you
danger.
can tell how much, like, that shook him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Violet, because she
Yeah.
Well, she was more like, it's okay. You didn't mean to. He was really spiraling, I feel like.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true. She was
understandably.
like, "It's nothing. It's barely there."
Mhm.
And something important to note is that Andarna's demands, you know, they didn't get met in their entirety. Actually, we're very frustrated with the ending of our talk with the council, because now our task force is formed, kind of, and Grady is leading it. Why?
He seemed so not important. Like, he was
Yeah.
just a professor, and now he's, like, in charge of this task force?
And not even one of, like, the important ones.
No, I don't get it.
But I think that's the reason. It's like, we don't have a connection to this guy, so they're just gonna throw him in there because, of course, I don't know. There's something behind the scenes going on.
Was I the only one that was confused about the sneaking around of like Mira and them? They were sneaking around. I was
Yes.
like, what is going on?
I
What are
was-
they doing? I thought I lost
Yeah.
something, and like I thought something happened at the end of Iron Flame, maybe, or I lost something in the first 3 chapters that I was supposed to know. I was like, what are they
I
sneaking
was
around?
so confused. And I was at that point where I was like, okay, this is probably one of those times when they want you to, like, think, make your own, like, guesses and formulate your own ideas of what they're doing behind the scenes. No, I shut off my brain. I was like, they're gonna tell me eventually.
Uh-huh.
No, I couldn't.
I can't.
I was so confused. I also was so distrustful of Brennan. I still am, by the way.
Yeah.
But the fact that he still went by the Acerai, Lieutenant Acerai, I was like, who is this guy? Is this for real? I was so mad. And then the whole like dynamic between Brennan, Mira, and Violet
Yeah.
was so like I just want to say I agree with Mira 100%. She has not said one thing in any of these books that I did not agree with.
Yeah.
Her
They were bickering really early on, her and Brennan at least.
Yes, which
Yeah.
I don't blame her. I would be pissed,
her delivery may be a little blunt, but she always speaks the truth.
which I relate to.
Mhm.
She doesn't
But-
pull her punches.
Exactly. And then at some point we find out pretty soon after this that Dane's dad,
Scooby-Doo villain.
Scooby-Doo villain, he's back.
He's back.
And he's mad at those meddling kids, man.
Yeah, and
And-
he got a promotion.
He's the new
General.
General of Pascal.
Which is just a kick in the nuts.
Oh my gosh, after losing Mama Sorgo? Yeah.
Yeah. They gave that guy. I don't understand. Who the fuck is running the leadership at Basgaia? They literally sent him away last book for his like not doing a good job. And
He was
then,
that unimportant.
yeah, he was so unimportant. They were like, you know what? We're just gonna send him away.
Isn't it Melgren?
And then I don't know.
Or is it the king?
But Melgren needs to get it together. Whoever it is, we need to have a chat because he's picking. Why couldn't Devera lead the task force?
Honestly.
What?
The girl's girl?
Yeah.
Yes.
And also everything's kind of in disarray right now, which is something I predicted on my Onyx Storm bingo card. It was that we were going to have those who left for Erasia versus those who stayed at Basgaia, and we totally got that. And we got some amazing Violet and Dane scenes.
I want to go on record. If you haven't listened to that Iron Flame or Fourth Wing episode, I have been a Dane sympathizer since the beginning. So I would just like to call that now.
I have been a sympathizer not as long as Alyssa. There was just not an intense hatred ever. He frustrated me in Fourth Wing. But by the end of it, I was able to look back and be like, oh, he's going through it too, you know?
Yeah, I understood.
But I needed these moments in this little like challenge what's the girl's name?
Oh, it was like some basic name.
She's also that
Ashlyn? I
unimportant.
don't know.
I don't even remember her name.
No.
Ashlyn?
Aura.
Oh, that
Aura.
wasn't even close.
Is it Aura?
It's Aura.
Okay.
No way. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Benhaven.
Yeah, Aura and Caroline.
Mhm.
Caroline.
But yeah, Aura's saying some crazy stuff to Dane, and Violet stands up for him and calls him her oldest friend again, and we're just rebuilding that friendship, which is all I've wanted.
Yeah. I mentioned multiple times in my notes as I was reading that I have the hots for Violet. She was big dick energy the whole way through this book.
Honestly.
I loved all of her moments.
Yeah, and she like really came into that leader role, and every second that she did, she would always say, "I'm not a leader. I'm not the
I
leader,
know.
whatever." And then like after this situation with Aura, that's when like the professors get back and everyone's making commentary about how they're like proud of her, how she's a leader, all these
Mhm.
different things, and she still pushes back.
She's so perfect for it though. Honestly. It's just I think it's that scribe mind and writer heart coming in because she knows the words to say to inspire the people and get the people thinking how she's thinking in the words, but she has the heart to put it as in the way that the writers are going to understand.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes. And then during that whole thing where she's protecting Dane, I just gotta say, there was a line in there that really got me.
Tell us.
She said, Violet said, "You lift your hand against him again, and the next one will go through it." Talking about her daggers.
Yeah.
Because Aura was like slyly trying to get her hand ready so she could wield against Dane. Mm-mm. Not our boy.
No, she protects her friends.
And then Riddick. Oh my gosh. Can I just say, my love for Riddick, I loved Riddick before this book. My love for Riddick now, I think I would die for him.
I think so too. He was like just a central part of this book.
He made this book.
He made the book.
Like, without Riddick, I would have been like, wow, that was boring.
It would have been a lot more melancholy and sad, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, and also, like, he just was really trying to showcase that he's maybe more than what has been shown in Fourth Wing and Iron
Absolutely.
Flame,
Yeah.
of, like, now real shit's happening, like, war came here, like, he has grown, I think,
Mm-hmm.
from it, and he's like, I want everyone to notice. Don't discount me."
Yeah. I don't discount him.
Me neither. But we get towards the end of this little kind of kerfuffle
Mm-hmm.
and find out a crazy fact.
Mm-hmm.
Xaden is now Duke of Tyrrendor.
Mm-hmm.
Which is hot.
Duke of all of Tyrrendor.
And I just want to say,
Mhm.
right before we found that out, he happened to make a comment about how Violet would make a good Duchess. Just saying.
Yep.
We also find out before that this is the first time since the Great War that Xaden and Violet's signets have
Mm,
occurred at the same time.
I
yeah.
feel like we knew that. Did we not know that?
I don't remember.
I can't remember either, but I remember being like, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
But
we get
that's
it.
gotta
They're
be important.
strongest. Come
Mhm.
on. And
Yeah.
then also, this is the first time where Tari brother number 2 gets brought up. So
Yep,
I went
brought
ahead
up in
and
passing.
I called a bingo because I was like, he's coming into play. They're talking
Mhm.
about Halden coming and showing up and being a part of this task force. So I called a bingo early. A bit early bingo, but it still counts.
Still counts. And then we get to this next part where things start to happen based on what we were talking about with Mira earlier of like,
Yes.
okay, this is starting to make a little bit more sense
I
because
didn't miss
Violet gathers people.
Yeah, I didn't miss anything. They just haven't
They
told
just
us.
haven't told us. And they go on this little mission. And do you remember what they were doing that for?
Yeah.
It was so that they could change the wards or
Yes,
finagle them.
because the whole leadership's idea that the Flyers couldn't stay was because they couldn't protect themselves from the Riders, and so they would just be giant targets if they couldn't wield their magic. And with the shields in place, they can't. So Mira and Sawyer was able to change the wards enough that now the Flyers can wield, which I think was crazy and very dangerous
Well,
to
yeah.
do.
Why mess?
Yeah.
Why mess with something that's working
High
perfectly?
risk, low
Perfectly.
risk, low reward. Gotta
Which is
say, did
why
not agree with that
But
decision. Nobody
so
asked me though.
the reward wasn't just for the flyers to be able to wield. It was also part of the like mm, not accord. What do you call them? The treaty for them
Mhm.
to work with Poor Mule, wasn't it?
Well,
I don't remember.
everything's up in like nobody knows what's gonna happen. There's not really a treaty in place. It's just like more like they're like, well, you have to keep our flyers.
Exactly. That
Otherwise,
was one of
why
the
would
main.
we
Yeah,
want
that
Yeah.
y'all
was
to
one of the main
stay?
reasons.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just so they could use the magic. It was to help the treaty along also.
Which I get, but if my mom had sacrificed herself mere
Okay,
2
true.
weeks ago to get these wards up, I
True.
don't think I'd go about
True.
fucking with them.
True. We don't get things done if we're too timid to do anything about it. So they follow through with their plan, and some words are thrown around like high treason or something like that.
Come on.
Something like that.
High treason, low treason, maybe.
And this is one of Violet's most badass scenes.
Mhm.
There's a couple, but this one I'm kind of putting in one of the top 3 from this book.
Yeah.
Because no one knows what she's gonna do. Everyone thinks she's kind of screwed. But she comes in and just runs the room and is like, "High treason who? Where? I don't
Yep.
know what you're talking
They were
about."
like, I'm pretty sure this morning y'all signed a thing pardoning all of us for
For
our crimes
everything that happened before you signed it.
starting after
today.
midnight. So looks like I'm free to go. Thanks, bye.
Zayden's reaction to that was beautiful.
It was perfect.
Brilliant, reckless woman.
Yeah.
So gorgeous.
He is so enamored by her.
Mhm.
Ah, this book
And
was Zayden's book, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, after this, I guess this is when we technically find out that General Atos is now General Atos.
Mhm.
Because he immediately pisses everyone off. Because he goes up to Violet and she's like, "I'm untouchable, dude." Which, I mean, kinda. But he says, "But your friends aren't."
I
Oh,
literally put in my notes, I said, do your worst. And then my very next line was, well, he did it. Boop.
well, he did
He did
it.
his worst, and I don't like it.
Yeah, so he banished them to Samara.
Mhm.
I think just to get them out of the way for a minute.
Yeah,
He didn't want to have to look at the meddling kids anymore.
I guess not.
no. And then that's when Violet has her first bad dream of the book.
I was so confused.
I was lost. I was so lost. I knew it was going to be important. I made a note. I said, oh, another bad dream that foreshadows events. What the fuck is going on? I don't understand any of this.
Yeah, and this is also so on my bingo card, I put squad slumber party.
Mhm.
I thought that was kind of
That's a fun one.
not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But then the fact that it happened so exactly by chapter 9,
It's so early too.
I was like, "Oh, score."
I know. And the fact that she could still get into his room, Zayden's
Yeah.
room.
That was
I thought that
beautiful.
was sweet.
It was so wholesome.
Oh. And then they brought up Liam again. It's like a knife to the kidneys every time.
Every
time.
time.
And then, of course, our squad has honor, so they find out that a paromial village is being attacked, and so they fly off to help.
Mhm.
Which I put in my notes dumbly. I don't know why I put this. I put, oh, I love battle scenes. What is wrong with me?
Have you read a Rebecca Yarros battle scene?
No, I should just delete that.
Just kidding, because it's a trap.
It's a trap.
They were expecting them the whole time, and guess who's there? No, the silver-haired the silver-haired Venom from Jack's cell.
Yeah.
And Garrick.
And Garrick, which, by the way, I did not catch on right away that he had just appeared. I was just like, oh, Garrick's here. That means Zayden must be nearby. Yay!
I thought the
I
same
know.
thing. I was like, wait, what are they doing here?
No, I did ask, how did they get here? How did they know that
No.
this random village was gonna be attacked and they were gonna go?
I was spiraling. I was thinking Zayden knew because of the venom, he knew where they were going to be or something. That's where my head was going, that they were already there. But nope.
But
Garrick being Garrick.
Something that I least expected to happen was a tornado, and that's exactly what we got.
Yeah.
I was so confused.
I was
I
too.
was like, what is happening with tornadoes? And then
A
like,
tornado flew around.
and then Taryn getting hurt, like
Oh,
whipped
yeah.
around. How big of a tornado does it have to be? I thought he was like ginormous. Is this like an F5?
Probably.
I was also like, this is chapter 10. Can we not injure Taryn?
I know. I was terrified because I know a big theory going around was that Taryn was gonna die in this book.
Oh.
So when he got hurt, I was like, oh no, chapter 10, I can still DNF this.
Oh god. But yeah, so Violet, Taryn, Garrick, they're all stressed.
This is when we see that the Venin wields lightning for the first time as well.
Yes.
In the whole storm with the tornado.
Which I was pissed.
Right?
I was like, these are supposed to be special signets.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
Why does everyone and their mother have
I know. I'm like, what is going on? It's like pulling from a Uno deck. Draw two.
Yeah, signets left and right because also Garrick, distance wielder, apparently.
Yeah.
We haven't seen one of those in how long? Centuries? And now he's just right here.
How convenient.
I know. Nobody's seen any of these in centuries. What's been happening? Have they just been producing fire and ice wielders for the past 50 years?
And we truly learned so much in this. It's like we got signets and signets and signets, and silver-haired Venin, I guess has a name. It's Theophany. Crazy.
Which I was pronouncing wrong the entire time.
Go ahead, say it.
Say it.
I would no.
Say
it.
I'm embarrassed.
Say it.
I was pronouncing it in my head. Stephanie.
Loser.
Stephanie. I'm sure it probably is something closer to that than Theophany. I don't
Right?
know.
At first I was like, Theophany? I'm not calling it.
Like, honey, I'm not calling you that.
And then I was like, maybe I'll shorten it to just Theo. And then I was like, I'm gonna think she's a boy. Stephanie.
So Theophany is who we meet. And she says something about an Irid.
Oh yeah. And we're like,
what's
an Irid? Huh?
what the heck's that?
My first guess in my note was irid ... iridescent. That was my first guess right then and there because of her shifting scales, changing colors. I guess I guessed it on page 90.
It's a wise guess.
We do find out that Andarna is an Irid scorpion tail.
Yes.
And get a lot of like campaigning from Theophany.
Yeah, she wants
for
them.
Violet to choose her.
Yeah, she's like, no, don't pick the other guy. He's mean. We'll be cool, and I'll let you keep your dragons.
I say, I'll even let you.
I'll even let you. Which I didn't know was possible. I was so confused at this point. First
For
of
a
all,
Venin to keep their dragon,
yeah,
Xaden has to go.
exactly. I was so confused.
But he also doesn't have a teacher.
I was like, but
I
what?
say, but I didn't realize that's something that you needed to be given permission to. Like, we don't know the whole like connection of it all.
But also, aren't dragons like completely against Venin? Why would they stay? I was so confused.
We still don't know all the information.
Yeah. And then I was very proud of myself. I'm so mad that I didn't put that the marked ones had 2 signets on my bingo card because I even talked about it in the Iron Flame episode.
Yeah.
That I believed it to be true, especially since Fourth Wing, since they mentioned Liam wielding ice in the battle.
You called it then.
I called it then, and I didn't even put it on my bingo card. I was so upset at myself. I was like, I knew it. I was right. 2 signets. But no bingo for me.
No bingo. That's okay, though.
I'm pretty sure this is the first out of many. I should have kept a tally of how many times Xaden says, well, the fuck aware.
He said it many times.
This is the first chapter we get him that says that.
In this book.
In this book. He says it last book, I'm pretty sure. We should keep a running
First
tally.
one.
Yeah. Well, the fuck aware.
Many times, and yet not enough. So the team makes it back to Basgiath. Sadly, Marin's family did not make it. Her parents didn't. So she has her twin brothers now. But what was so important about this chapter is the fact that Xaden mentions that the reason Garrick showed up and risked everybody finding out about his second signet is because he was losing his ever-loving mind at the fact that his girl was in danger. He said, "I would have drained the very earth to its core to keep you safe." Now, call me toxic, but I don't see it as a problem.
That's romance.
Just
No.
kidding. But I love a morally gray man. I love a morally gray man. And also, we confirmed that Liam had 2 signets because Violet
Yes.
mentions, "I remember seeing Liam wield ice one time." And Xaden's like, "Yep."
He confirms. And then we get, like, obviously, we saw Theophany do the whole lightning wielding shebang. But I think we were talking about, like, at this time, thinking about how Venom have signets too.
Mhm.
And I put something in my notes of, like, will Xaden get another signet?
Mm.
Because now he's Venom?
I wrote one of that. I wrote that too,
Mhm.
but I wrote it back up in the other chapter with the lightning.
Yeah, so I'm
yeah.
like, we'll have to keep an eye out, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't think that. I thought that they just kept their signets.
Maybe.
But then I was, but then what if you're not? Can anybody channel? Do you have to be a writer to channel? No, right?
I don't know. No, because the Venom aren't writers. That's why
Right.
they got jealous of the writers and they wanted the magic.
So that's why I
Right.
think that they
So they do
got their
manage it.
signets after. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And then we find out that Violet has been going to see Jack
Mhm.
to try and get information out of him, and Imogen has been going with her to wipe his memories so he doesn't remember.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
And we already know that Venom can sense each other, but he kind of explains a little bit more about that of like the longer you're Venom or the more you fall into that, the more you can hide it from others.
Right.
Yeah.
So like if you're, a sage or like a general, whatever they were talking about, then they're going to be able to hide a lot easier than the new recruits.
Right.
Mhm.
And, we know that Xaden feels more comfortable within the wards because he is like he has more control over his power and wanting to channel because the magic isn't as wild. But outside of the wards, it's more like calling to him because of the magic. So he wants to find a way to stay in the wards, and he does
Oh, yeah.
by becoming Professor Ryerson.
Sir
We're
Ryerson.
getting all the tropes
We
here.
really are. She's throwing them at us left and right.
Yeah.
And then, Violet starts having a mini panic attack because
She's like, "You're my professor."
I know it's against Codex.
Our relationship is over.
I
So I
see.
would like to point out that when we talked about if Violet's a rule follower or not, she used to be.
Yeah.
It still comes up every once in a while, but she's more likely to push the rules aside, bend them, break them now than she was before joining the Writers Quadrant.
I was not having it. I said, "Oh, baloney."
So did everyone
Baloney.
else.
I said, "No way."
I was like, they were I called it then. I was like, they were together before he became a teacher. So why can't they still become be a thing? When Zayden went to petition, I forget who it was, but gave the thing hey, we were already together. This is only a temporary position.
Yeah.
Can we still continue our relationship? And they're like, nope.
I know.
F you just a little
sorry.
bit.
That was crazy.
Just to make their lives harder.
And then poor Dane with his dilemma with his dad that he had to sneak into his quarters or whatever to get the journal.
I definitely don't think it was a dilemma on Dane's part anymore. I think he was kind of he was
Well, it was
for it.
after he witnessed General Atos talking with Violet and Xaden about the whole professor relationship thing, and he General Atos threw out a lot of jabs at Dane not being his son anymore,
I have no
left and
son.
right.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean
Mhm.
dilemma as in he wasn't sure whose side he's on, because
okay.
he's loyal to Violet, and
Had to
I have
deal with
known
it.
that since the beginning. But I'm just saying,
Okay.
how sad. I just felt bad for him
Yeah.
because he trusted his dad, and he gave his dad the information that he thought was important for the good of others, and his dad's a Scooby-Doo villain, so gag.
Exactly. We get the first class taught by Professor Ryerson. Get a lot of good moments. I personally loved it.
Oh, I enjoyed it a lot. And then of course he wins like every time. Oh, when they're sparring together
Mhm.
and he like his shadows
Shadows.
cover everything and they
Yes,
have their
when
little
they start.
moment.
Yow.
When Riddick says, "Not terrified, but in love," I was like, "Same Riddick. I'm with you,
Yeah.
my guy."
But I remember being proud of her because you could really see, like, just within the first couple chapters of this book that she has been practicing to
Yes.
control her lightning, which is good. Also, we're getting like a lot of random little tidbits of the couples, like Kat and Traeger and Imogen and Garrick. Obviously, just
Yes.
little remarks
Sawyer
here and
and
there or little glimpses. Yeah, Sawyer and Jasenia. So all that's happening in the beginning part too.
Which, by the way, I
And
loved Traeger. He said there's a scene in chapter 15 where Kat's still like making comments about Zayden and stuff, and Traeger says, "Seems like a waste of time to choose someone who doesn't want you when there are plenty of people who do." I said, "Okay, hot."
yeah, no, he was brave.
He was brave, also.
Say
Yeah,
that.
Kat's kind of scary.
Yeah, but also I think Dane was kind of building up to this little mission, but this is the chapter which like it's solidified. Like he's going in. The fate of the squad rests in the hands of Dane Atos, and we have faith in him at this point. I have faith in him. Faith in him.
Okay, I'll say it again.
If you have
I've
to.
had faith in him since the beginning. But yes, the whole time, y'all should see my notes. It's embarrassing the amount I've referred to Dane as our man, my man. My notes. I said Dane will pull through for her. He's a good man, Savannah.
Gosh. But so we get Daddy Sorengale's journal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a puzzle, obviously.
Cryptic.
Why can't
Cryptic
anything be
man.
easy for us?
I was so happy just to learn his name,
Yeah.
Asher.
Oh yeah, Asher.
Yeah.
I even like didn't even put two and two together until we got like a couple of those excerpts at the top, and I'm like, oh, that's her dad.
Also,
Come on.
I don't know how it works traditionally in the writer's world, but did
The
he
last
take?
name.
Yeah, whose
Yeah.
last name did they take?
I was
Hers,
thinking
I
that
think.
too.
Right? Okay.
Because they say his original last name in some of the excerpts.
Really?
Yeah, it's Asher something else later on, and I was like, wait, are we still talking about her dad? But it's a different last name,
Yep.
which means they took her last name.
Something else. That's a weird name.
No, oh my gosh.
That was a bad joke. We can cut that out.
So we skipped entirely over it, but what you talked about earlier about Brennan keeping the other last name,
Yeah.
he changed his name back.
He
He did change his name back.
Made me
Sorry, that
little
was a side
happy.
quest, but that did happen a while ago.
I'll say chapter 17 was my hands down favorite chapter of the whole book. It could have ended right there. 5-star
Tell us why.
read. This is when they're trying to figure out, first of all, what the code is for the journal.
The cryptic message.
I thought we were getting some tea on the Sorrengail family lovers. Okay, I was throwing
Yeah.
every 6-letter name I could think of out there. I was like, Lilith, his first love? No. And then Brennan, I was like, first love? Is it Naolin? Which, by the way, I still stand on that. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Naolin and Brennan were a thing. So I was like, oh, it's Naolin. And then I was like, wait, Halden has 6 letters, which was before we knew for sure that Halden was Violet's ex.
I counted Halden too
Yeah.
on my notes. So it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
it fits.
I was just listing every 6-letter named character I could think of.
And speak of the devil, because Halden shows up to class.
He sure does.
And we immediately hide Auric.
Oh, that was great. No questions asked. Just Zayden, hide him.
Yep.
Boom.
Got it.
Done.
We find out that his eyes wander and he's a cheating loser.
Ew.
Yeah, that was crazy.
His professor?
On Violet? What is wrong with this man? There's something wrong with him.
A lot.
We get confirmation that he is her ex.
And this is, I'm pretty sure on all of our bingo cards we put jealous Zayden.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And we got it at the end of this chapter.
I was so concerned. I was like, how is he gonna play this off? Like, I really thought he was gonna go to jail or something. Not that jail's a thing, but I was very concerned at the end of this chapter. I was like, this is the prince he just attacked.
I wasn't.
I was concerned for a hot
I
second.
wasn't either, but I did note, like, we went into the next chapter after he attacked Halden. And I was saying how, like, Xaden is losing control in some ways. Like he said, it wasn't a response, it just was. Like, he acted on instinct and feeling, which is not usually how he operates. And so I was like, we have an emotionally dysregulated shadow wielder on our hands.
For sure.
Like, it's what's really coming out now.
Yeah.
But Halden does provide some help, unbeknownst to him.
Some.
Yeah, he lets us know that, oftentimes a lot of writers' first loves are their dragons.
Look at that. I put in my notes, coming in clutch.
That's when I guessed Aimser. I guessed Violet's mom's dragon.
I'm proud of you because I did not remember her mom's dragon's name.
I couldn't either.
But I was like,
that makes sense.
I'm sure if someone went back and decided to find her dragon's name, it might be 6 letters.
Yep.
And you were correct.
Yeah, perfect.
I love that Xaden says, yes, love, I'm jealous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But do you love him? That was tough.
Or did you love him?
Yes, did you love him?
It doesn't matter. It was in the past, okay? Definitely she didn't love him like she loves you. That's
It made me think back to the excerpt before chapter 3 where Lilith's mom is writing a letter to her dad and says, and gosh help her, our daughter has the worst taste in men, or atrocious taste in men. And I said, I have to agree, she had atrocious taste in men. However, it has definitely improved.
But wasn't there an excerpt also that was like, help Violet and whoever her first love, like her first true love is, because whoever she falls in love with, she falls and gives 100% type of thing. I forget which excerpt that was.
I believe it happened, but I don't remember it.
I don't remember which chapter, but I'm pretty sure.
But I was getting excited because we're finally getting to go somewhere.
Yes.
To the Isles.
Well,
vacation.
Yeah, we got to go to Deverelli because everyone kept telling her to go north. And she's like, no, like we really got to go south. And then we find out that there's this magic amplifier that's called like a citrine or whatever that they have to go get.
Yeah.
And so we're assembling the atrocious task force to go do that.
I was so pissed off at this task force. It made 0 sense in my brain. 0 sense.
Well, we do. So we're off. We're off to Deverelli. We've
also Theophany is writing to Violet. We find out.
Nervous about that.
Yeah.
Is anyone else like curious about what the Emerald Sea is? Like we heard about it, super dangerous, and we never got to saw it.
And there's pirates.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I kind of want to. We didn't get to see there yet.
I think we're gonna get that.
I think we're gonna get that.
We'll get to that later.
Okay, sorry. I would like to see the Emerald Sea.
But thanks for reminding us.
Sorry, real quick. Back to Theophany.
Sure.
I'm getting desperate vibes. She just wants a friend.
I don't think so.
By the end of this book, I honestly felt bad for her.
I'm gonna bow out on that one.
I was like, man, she just wants a friend.
Theophany sympathizer over there. Get her.
Get her.
Take her away. We do get to hear that for a dragon, the first fire burns the hottest. So when we think back to Ironflame, when Andarna was able to kill that Venin, we wonder, is that only because it was her first fire? Are they setting that up to surprise us later and like all of her fire can kill Venin? Unsure, but something I noted while we were off to Deverelli.
And then Riddick goes with them. And I thought Riddick was giving such Big Brother vibes the whole time. Like he was obviously there for Violet's protection.
Wait, did he go with them?
Yeah, the first time.
Huge correction, guys. We are not in Deverelli. We know we need to go to Deverelli, but first we need to go by this drained city already, so it's abandoned, and pick up the citrine because we got to bring it to Deverelli.
Yes.
To trade with. So we're there with our crappy task force with Aura and Grady. And essentially, we get the citrine. Aura's a dummy.
She does not need to be on any task force.
Well,
She
never will
wielded
be
because she
again.
was scared.
She never will be again.
And she killed Grady. That was quick. And started a wildfire. So that's how the first task force mission truly ends. Aura ends up dying too. She got scooped up by a wyvern. And I think we got a little note that Theophany knew that they would be there.
Yes,
ominous.
they knew they
That's
were going to be
where the
there.
note was.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we go back.
That's the note I was referring to.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, we're back on track, team. We go back to Basgaiath, and this is when we get like the most wholesome Riddick moment where he's just like, let me be on the quest squad. We're gonna revamp and be a quest squad, and we're gonna be better than ever. Let me be on it, please.
That's what I was referring to when I said Riddick was giving Big Brother vibes.
Yes, and he is eventually he's going to be on the quest squad, but it was just a wholesome moment where he was saying like, I know I'm funny as fuck, but I can also be really good.
He's
like
been practicing his
serious
signet.
moments.
He's been practicing his signet too.
And he can freeze things. He can freeze someone to death.
Yep.
He froze an
Unconfirmed.
orange.
He froze an orange.
That's true. But they assume that that means he can probably also do that to people,
Yes.
Yeah.
which makes him
so
badass.
Violet goes in that room and she's commanding that room. She's calling Markham a rat.
Which
she is demanding that she get the quest squad that she wants. Even Halden's shocked by her because he hasn't seen her in 3 years. He hasn't seen her become like that bitch
Yeah.
that she is.
I said, this is fucking fire. Go off, Violet. I loved her choices, and she had such good reasoning for each person that she wanted there. It was beautiful. Just fucking go off.
I was just sad Reed didn't get to go. I missed her.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I think they end up going off and they're stopping in Kat and her family's home.
Chorus, wherever.
Exactly. They're stopping there.
To pick up Takaris. I thought it was hilarious, best part of this book, that Halden had to ride in a basket. If you make fan art and you send us pictures of Halden in his basket, I will love you forever.
I'll give you 4 head kisses. But yeah, and then so we get there. And then we're really off to Deverelli, or am I missing something?
Well, so we get an insight into, I put a guess, is this possibly Violet's second signet coming out? That things she keeps things she's thinking
Mm-hmm.
Xaden is able to hear. Like, she's not saying it and it's not through the bond. But then
did
it's
write that
mentioned
too.
that maybe it's his signet that's growing practically, but I
Mhm.
was like, is it her, like, is she getting a second signet? It's just very, very confusing not knowing exactly what's going on with all that still.
Yeah, I said, she didn't say that out loud.
Yeah.
I said, does that have something to do with her, or is it really like his second signet getting better or whatever?
Mhm.
I will say, when I was reading this book, I really tried to focus on just enjoying the journey. I know a lot of people had a lot of gripes about this book. I disagree. I'm
I
just gonna
enjoyed the
say it.
journey.
I disagree. I thought it was a great book.
I loved it.
I just loved every moment we got with the squad and just the interactions between all the characters. I ate it up. I was just trying not to look too much into things because I don't know. I read for the vibe and I was vibing with the characters. I felt like I was on the mission. I felt like I was along with them, just watching,
The digging
laughing.
more into it is for a second reread. Like, this was
Exactly.
pure vibes. I
That's
get
what I
that.
was thinking too. I
Yeah.
was like, the second time you reread it, you're gonna like notice everything.
Yeah.
So I really wasn't making a whole lot of guesses or assumptions. At this point I was like, I mean, Rebecca's just gonna tell me when Violet gets her second signet.
When she's ready.
When she's ready, she'll let us know. So
But we cross over and we lose the magic and bonds get cut off.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
So bittersweet because they can't communicate with their dragons or each other now because they can't talk to each other mind to mind, Xaden and Violet, which they never addressed why Violet could talk to her dragons, still, but
dragons.
nobody
Yeah.
else could. I don't know. But then on the sweet side, Xaden doesn't have to worry about losing control because there's
Yeah.
no magic for him to channel.
He feels at peace, and it's so wholesome, and everyone picks up on it. They're
Yes.
like, "Who the heck is this guy?"
Yeah.
Honestly,
Aw.
honestly, I loved it. I was like, this can be the end of the book. They just find a piece of land, make an offer on it, build a house, retire.
Violet didn't she like offer? She was like, "Do
Yeah.
you want to stay here?"
Mhm.
It broke my heart.
Xaden knew that the dragons couldn't do it because there's no
Yeah.
magic, and
Yeah, they were in pain too.
he's so selfless.
Then we go on our journey to go pick up the books that Asher Sorengale left
Yes.
with this shopkeeper.
Yeah, the cryptic
right?
note he left Violet in his journal saying that Violet has to be the one to go pick it up.
Correct.
Yes. That
That's
was
where we're off to.
the best scene of the whole book.
We make it. It's a little hostile at
I
first.
was like, how did they find trouble in a bookstore? Honestly.
Yeah, that's true.
When they were riding into town, sorry to back it up a little bit, I wrote a note saying, because Riddick was just cracking me up this whole book. I loved
Yeah.
him. He said, I'm so fucking glad I got on this horse. I said, LOL, you know what? Fuck a Xaden point of view. I want a Riddick point of view. In fact, Rebecca, you should rewrite the whole series from his point of view and I'll buy it again.
Yes, please.
So, just saying.
Just to see it through his eyes.
Just an idea. If you have some extra time, Rebecca.
But we learn a lot in the shopkeeper's like space.
Mhm.
One, we get, she's a little nosy and she's asking some things.
Mm-hmm.
And we're finding things out about, first loves and all that jazz. And I thought it was like pretty wild that Dane didn't even know that Halden cheated on her.
Yeah.
And he's like shocked in the moment. He's like, why didn't you
Why
tell
didn't you
me?
tell anyone? Yeah.
And it was just, I don't know. I felt really bad for him. But also, really funny moment happened where the shopkeeper was like, Asher Sorengel told me all about you. And I can see so much love between you two. Like, you look like the spitting image of what he described you as. Dane Atos.
Oh my gosh.
I gasped and laughed.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
It lives rent free in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But the most important takeaway from this whole side quest where she's going to get these books is that this shopkeeper is testing Violet to see if she's wise enough to be getting these books from her. And she starts quizzing her about the Croveland uprising and why Deverelli backed out of the brokerage and the end of the rebellion. They ended the rebellion. Deverelli ended the rebellion by backing out. Why did they back out? Violet, obviously, who has trained and learned about history her whole life, is like, oh, duh, easy, lays out the facts, the bare minimum. The lady is like, no, that's not good enough. Tell me more. So Violet starts thinking. She knows the answer. She doesn't want to say it because she knows that the implications are quite severe.
Mm-hmm.
So she starts talking to Dane and going back and forth with Dane, saying, remember, Dad, talking about her dad, drilled it into our heads, her and Dane, about why the brokerage or the why Deverelli withdrew. Dane stiffens. It was a really big problem in the 5th century, talking about Emerald Sea piracy and everything. And Violet finally gets to the point of saying stay with me here. We were on the couch. Dad was pacing in front of the fire, and you thought it was ludicrous that the soldiers had crossed into Navarre to acquire tail feathers. Remember? It wasn't tail feathers that was after. It was feather tails. They were trading in dragons. Yeah, which is crazy. And it's probably what we're going to be doing in the next book.
I was like, they were trying to. It was dragon dealing gone wrong that led to the Midnight Massacre.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is very important that we know this going forward.
Exactly. And then also kind of keep in mind, because we're not getting all the information, but there was an ominous statement about Lilith leaving Mira a legacy. And so we get some hints about that later too.
Oh my gosh, I just realized that further down in the passage, they mention, I think Deverelli brokered a deal with Krovla and an unnamed isle, that the isle would provide an army and Krovla would provide the dragons. I wonder what isle that was.
We'll get to that next episode.
Who this unnamed isle is.
That's
Anyway.
crazy. But we get the books.
Mhm.
You know, Violet has proven her intelligence and she gets her father's journals.
Mira might be a little upset about her legacy and
Yeah.
that the books were specifically only meant for Violet.
Yeah, Mira's feeling a little bit left out.
Yeah.
Which I would too.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
And then we end the chapter with Xaden wanting to make sure that Violet is 100% okay and getting consent because he's done being polite.
He's done being polite.
And it did not disappoint. His rudeness did not disappoint.
We get a whole chapter where it results in a broken table. And I get a little bingo cross off for that because I said they're going to break another piece of furniture. And it was a table, everyone. Does get, you know, they have their moment. They do get interrupted by like everyone out in the hall.
I think that's hilarious that Riddick mentions like the broken table and how the broken armoire and how they break everything.
Yeah, he's just like laying it out and they're like, Riddick,
come on, Riddick. I thought it was so funny that like Xaden did not give a F this whole book. Like they come and they knock on the door and they're all like kind of in a panic and they're like, they kept Halden. And Xaden says,
they're keeping him.
Yeah. Xaden says, too fucking bad for Halden.
He should have watched his mouth. Like that's his problem.
Literally. And then of course, because our girl has honor, they go to rescue his ass.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it was their one night that they had without the magic and so sad.
Not anymore. Halden ruined it.
Yeah,
of course. Like he
fucking
ruined
Halden. So we are headed off to get Halden, rescue his dumb little ass.
Yep.
And on the way there, Taryn mentions his lineage, and he's mentioned his lineage to Violet. I'm sure Violet, being her, knows it back and forth like the back of her hand. But for some reason, I just feel like he mentions it at the most inconvenient times. And for some reason, my brain thinks it's important that we should be paying attention to his lineage. And I don't know why.
So we'll be tracking that.
But we finally get introduced to King Cortland. Is that correct?
Yeah.
His description is not what I was picturing it. He's much younger than I was expecting, closer to Violet and Xaden's age. But my favorite thing about this introduction is Xaden introducing Violet to him as his consort, which is basically his wife.
Yep.
We love this.
He's claiming her. Yep. And he says he's loyal to Violet, and then Tyrandor, and then Navarre, mainly when Violet's in residence, in that order. That's where his loyalty lies.
Violet above all else.
Mine too.
But basically here at this dinner, we see that Halden has caused some problems.
Yes.
He basically violated the king's utmost rule of being truthful and honest, and the offering of the dagger that wasn't his to offer basically rubbed the king the wrong way. And we get served the head of the guard, Halden's guard, on a platter, and we get introduced to some panthers.
Yeah. And we learn that Cortland, he is not messing around.
He's a psycho, and shit hit the fan all because of Halden.
Yeah.
And his word is blood. We believe him now.
Yeah.
Yep. His word is blood. He's basically just gonna kill everybody, and Violet yet again has to step in to save the day.
Well, technically, I think it got to the point where Cortland was threatening their lives, like saying, kill them all. And I think he threatened Violet, and Xaden has a problem with that.
Well,
Yes.
there was some violence ensued. There was fighting, and I believe that in the fighting, the conduit that Violet has been manifesting into and charging these alloys with magic breaks,
Mm-hmm.
and something happens. A hair is harmed upon Violet's head, and therefore Xaden loses his absolute bonkers.
Yeah.
And he grabs that piece of alloy and unfortunately channels in order to create shadows and kill all of the guards.
Kill everyone.
Killed them all.
Literally every single one. Just whoop, dead.
Yep. And so I liked how Violet was like, it's okay. We can deal with this later. You just take a seat right here. Keep your head down.
Close your eyes. Look away.
And Mama's going to handle this.
Yeah. I like her demand exactly was, come here. Look at me. I love you. And we need to get you out of here. So you have to trust me. Do not move until I tell you. Sit down, put your head in your hands, and stay there.
Stay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And then she comes to save the day.
Exactly.
With the help of a very angsty Andarna, I feel like the past 2 books, Andarna, all she wants to do is eat everything she sees, and I would like to give credit to Andarna for not chomping down on that panther she was holding in her mouth.
Yeah, so that they could get leverage and get the team out of there.
Yes.
But they succeed in that. I mean, Violet's able to make a deal with Cortland and get everyone out of there safely, promising that Halden never steps foot back in Deverelli again.
Never ever.
Never ever. And the team, we head back to Basgiath.
With not really what we set out to go get.
Actually, that's not true. We got the books and we got permission to use Deverelli as a stepping stone towards the other isles. So we got exactly what we came there to get.
I feel like weren't we okay, but we feel a little defeated because we still haven't found Andarna's family.
Yeah, correct.
And we didn't
Correct.
get the arm, like, weren't we looking for an ally, like, for armies? We still haven't gotten that
I
yet
think we
either.
looked at each aisle.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Deverelli said no to the army, but yes to the being a stepping stone. And there were no extra clues to finding the Irids or a cure for
Okay.
Xaden. So we are
Like, half
Yes.
got what we wanted and half
and
didn't.
half.
Okay.
Half a stepping stone, at
Yeah.
least.
And let's see, we're back in Basgiath.
Yeah, it feels like we don't stay there too long, but some important things still happen.
Yes. We notice the color change of Xaden's eyes here. They've always been referenced as black with flecks of gold, and we're seeing the gold shift to amber now. Even though the eyes aren't rimmed with red, it's not the same golden spark they used to have.
So very ominous.
Yeah.
But not loving that at all.
But on a lighter note,
Sure.
may I introduce you to Mr. Riddick? Good thing I fuck like a third year Gamlin. You
You sure
dog,
can.
you.
My goodness. And Sawyer's return to classes.
Yes.
We thought he was, gonna retire, but he hasn't given up. He's at least coming back to classes now.
No, we support Sawyer through and
Yes.
through.
Yes.
We get this weird mention of Mira taking personal leave, and last we left her, she was feeling weird vibes about the visit with the
yeah.
shopkeeper.
Yeah.
And it was just feeling a little off. So for her to be missing as soon as we get back to Biscayeth, a little concerning for me as a reader, at least.
I think in my notes I said, Mira, personal leave? Now? That's
Yeah.
sus.
Doesn't make any sense, but
Not at all.
we kind of get a little insight into the second signet's, that theory with the with our writers who have relics.
Mm-hmm.
And we get confirmation that Bodhi doesn't have a second signet. He says, I'm just like Xaden. We don't have second signets. Crazy.
Which is weird because we know Xaden has a second signet, but nobody else knows Xaden has a second signet.
We know
only
that
Violet.
Violet's the only one that knows that he has that second one. So
Yeah.
yeah, it could, I don't know.
And I think it's important to note here, and around chapter 28-ish, that's when we get like this little tiny hint of a Sloane and Dane rumbling.
Yes.
I remember seeing that Sloane is flushing, and I was like, why is she flushing around Dane? So keep our eyes on that. I noted that.
They are talking about how she needs to be training her signet and she doesn't want to because she's scared of it. Sloane says, "You really going to mourn the loss of another Mari?" Sloane fires back at Dane. "His death will always be on my head. Yours will not." Dane's tone sharpens. "I don't coddle first years anymore. So train your signet." "Asshole," she whispers, and the flush in her cheeks deepen.
Crazy.
I'm feeling another enemies to lovers.
I'm feeling parallels. Lots of parallels happening here.
Yes.
Also, Hope, back to what you said earlier about putting in your notes of like, oh, they're mind speaking in a weird way now. I said he's literally reading her mind right now. And I'm talking about Xaden and Violet, not just her intentions. Or she's giving the thoughts to him. I'm not sure.
It happens so often, and the not getting clarification on it yet is really digging at my soul. Like,
yeah, and I was wondering if like is the venonness of him like is that amplifying what's going on?
Right.
But they mentioned it for like the third time.
Mm-hmm.
Like something similar to this. So important to note.
Something else important to note, this is where Violet tells Arik about how badly things went in Deverelli because of Halden.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, he's unsurprised. I mean, Halden's Halden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disappointed, but not surprised.
Yeah, and I think Deverelli also kind of left a negative taste in Xaden's mouth too, because he's kind of essentially warning both Garrick and Violet of like, you guys are gonna need to be prepared to handle things in case I lose control.
Isn't this where we get like the serum too? Like where Violet starts carrying around the serum. Who does she? Is that Bodhi in her or Garrick in her?
I think it's her and Garrick.
It's her and Garrick.
Okay.
But this is where her and Bodhi have the conversation that she's basically getting to choose the quest squad now because they put her in charge.
Yeah.
Since it went so badly. And so she's picking who will get to go next. And Bodhi mentions how he really wants to go and he would kill to go, but that they need to take care Garrick. Because in case they don't find a cure, Garrick is plan B.
Yeah.
Which is awful.
Yeah, that's not fun at all, but
awful.
The squad's thinking realistically, like they're thinking.
Isn't Bodhi plan B?
Bodhi is plan B for Tyrandor.
Yeah,
okay. You're talking about
Garrick
plan
is
B
plan
for taking
B,
care of Xaden.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
as in who can take him down if need be.
And that's why it's Garrick and Violet.
And they think Garrick and Violet are the only ones that can really truly take him down if need be.
I think it could only be Violet, honestly.
I mean, I think so too. That's why Xaden is literally training Violet
to find
him. Oh my gosh, that's heartbreaking every single time he mentions that.
Yeah, he's literally training her to kill him, which is awful.
But they were like, second best, let's throw Garrick in the ring.
Yeah.
But also, will Violet be able to do it is the question.
Yeah.
And if she's not able to, Garrick will.
Exactly.
I don't think she could.
I wouldn't.
We do add a few extra additions to the quest squad, like you said, and that's going to include Traeger, Marin, and a last-minute addition, Arik. Because at this point, Halden thinks that he's going with. I don't know why he would, because we have to go through Deverelli. And Violet informs him, you're actually not coming, dude.
Oh my goodness.
But Arik reveals himself because at this point, Halden doesn't know where he is. He's missing, essentially.
And honestly, it's a win-win because Arik gets to go. Yum. More art captures. It will be faster because Arik can fly on a dragon, so they can leave the weight of the basket
Oh
behind.
my
Yeah, we're done
goodness.
with the basket.
No more
We
basket.
retired that.
And I mean, Arik's just a better choice, more diplomatic, stronger.
Can I just say, when we were back, so before we head out on this second trip to the Isles, we see a first year channel on the mats for the first time, and we learn that anybody can do it without a teacher. I
Yes.
feel like that's a big thing
Yeah.
because literally it could be anyone.
Not only that, but the second she channeled, she was killed immediately. They didn't ask any questions. They didn't try to help her. She channeled and they immediately killed her.
Kind of like the Intensic
Yes.
back in the first book.
And Zayden's got 2 of them. He's an Intensic and a Venom.
So it just goes to show how dangerous it truly is for Zayden to be at Basgiath for anyone to find out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry, I had to
No,
jump
That
back
was
to
a good
that.
point. And then also, I will say I don't like Halden at all, but I think he's dumb. I think he's dumb, not a bad person. Because he truly cares about his brother, and you can tell that when he gets kicked off the quest squad and he's going to leave. He says, "Violet." Halden lowers his voice and slowly looks my way. The plea in his eyes hits me straight in the chest. I won't let anything happen to him. I promise.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really cares for
He
him.
cares for his
And
brother.
he just got a big shock. He's here. He's in the Writers Quadrant. That's where he's been because he's been
Oh
missing.
my gosh.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that is finally the time that he figures out that
All that
Ark
reveals
happens
himself.
in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, now you're gonna go off and now I have to worry about you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Misguided. He's also young, just
Yeah, he just
I got really scared. I thought that the foreshadowing of Violet promising nothing, like she was gonna protect Arik and nothing would happen to him. I was like, Violet, you can't promise that. Because as soon as she did, my brain started to spiral. And I thought that was gonna be foreshadowing that something was gonna happen to Arik. So
yeah, that was terrifying.
I just think that Arik is such an interesting character. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's more to him. And there was, baby.
Well, I mean, I thought there was more for Liam too, but
But Liam was the perfect character. Arik's got some skeletons in his closet.
Secrets.
He's got some secrets, and we'll be discussing those in our next episode. Aw, man. Sorry, guys.
You'll just have to wait to hear. I think the piece we're getting to right now, right before we head off to the Isles, last bit to kind of cover is the Mira of it all.
we find out where she was.
Yes.
Her personal leave that she took.
She went to visit Grandma Niara, which is her dad's mom, who Lilith and Asher cut ties with.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, Mira's being weird about Daddy Sorengale leaving Violet the books ever since then. And so this little visit, we wonder what was the purpose behind it.
She's trying to find out more of what's her purpose, what's her path.
Yes. This is the second time where Mira's kind of had information. She was the one who brought the information to Violet to do that thing with the wards. This is the second time she's been off to the side and we're not given any information. We're just set to learn as we go.
Mm-hmm.
I found it curious. I didn't know what the Blackstone bracelet that she came back wearing was all about. But anything that had to do with Blackstone, I'm just thinking Onyx. So I'm trying to read too much into anything that's mentioned of Blackstone.
Yeah, I could not have told you that existed.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
that was crazy.
But wearing that bracelet. Yeah, just a lot to learn from Mira now.
Well, sadly, this is where we have to end our breakdown of the first half of Onyx Storm. We hope you enjoyed hearing about our journey acquiring the book, as well as our thoughts on all things plot building in this first section of the book, because it sure was heavily plot building.
Yes. But make sure you follow us on all of our socials at Totally Booked Readers so you can stay up to date on our most recent episodes and releases.
And we hope you take some time out of your Totally Booked schedules to join us next Tuesday to finish breaking down the second half of Onyx Storm and to hear our reactions to the controversial cliffhanger and our theories for the future of the Empyrean series. Okay, bye!
Bye.